February 1943, North Africa. The German Afrika Korps had grown used to facing American tanks. They considered the Sherman an inferior machine. Thin armor, average gun, nothing compared to the Panzer IV or the feared Tiger. But at Kasserine Pass, German officers witnessed something they could not explain. Shermans moved across the battlefield in perfect unison. 5 tanks advanced through broken terrain, out of sight of each other, yet every move was coordinated. One covered where the other was blind. They turned, shifted, and attacked with timing that seemed supernatural. German crews, trained to look for flags, flares, or runners on motorcycles, saw none of it. Still, the Shermans acted as if they shared a single mind. The explanation was invisible. It wasn't their armor or their guns, it was the radios inside them. Every Sherman tank carried a frequency modulation radio set, the SCR 508, built in American factories by Motorola engineers who had once made car radios. To the Germans, radios were scarce and fragile. To the Americans, they were universal. For the first time in history, an entire armored army could talk to itself in real time. The Germans had pioneered tank radios back in the 1930s. Heinz Guderian, father of Blitzkrieg, insisted on them for command vehicles. But by 1943, shortages forced compromises. Most German tanks had only receivers. They could listen, but not speak. Only a handful of command tanks had transmitters, and when those were knocked out, whole platoons fell silent. The American approach was the exact opposite. Every Sherman could transmit. Every crew could share what they saw. If one commander went down, another immediately picked up the fight. Technically, the difference was staggering. German FUG-5 radios used amplitude modulation, state-of-the-art in the 1930s but obsolete by the 1940s. They produced barely 10 watts of power. Engine noise, electrical sparks, and artillery blasts drowned them in static. A moving panzer might communicate a kilometer or two at best, and often much less. American sets used frequency modulation. With 25 watts of power and crystal-controlled stability, they cut through interference with crystal clarity. A Sherman could talk 10 miles or more in combat. To German ears, the difference was almost magical. The SCR 508 weighed about 180 pounds. Its BC-604 transmitter and BC-603 dual receivers allowed tank commanders to monitor multiple channels at once. Platoon nets, company nets, even artillery support. The system made every tank a node in what historians now call the world's first battlefield network. The battlefield results were immediate. In North Africa, scattered Sherman units coordinated across miles, warning of ambushes, calling artillery fire, shifting to meet German thrusts. At Kasserine Pass, even in tactical defeat, German observers noted something alarming. American units held together under pressure, coordinating in ways that should have been impossible. Intelligence reports dismissed it as good discipline. They missed the truth. The Americans had a technological advantage that Germany could not match. When the fighting moved to Italy, that advantage only grew. Mountain ridges cut visual contact. German radios faltered, their signals bouncing uselessly in valleys. American FM radios thrived. Shermans on opposite sides of ridgelines coordinated flanking maneuvers as if the mountains didn't exist. German tankers, trained to depend on line of sight, were baffled. They assumed the Americans had somehow pre-planned everything. They did not realize they were listening to the first whispers of modern networked warfare. Normandy, June 6, 1944. Sherman tanks rolled ashore at Omaha and Utah, each one linked by radio, not only to other tanks but to artillery and naval fire controllers. German defenders, armed with Panthers and 88mm guns, expected to fight isolated groups of tanks. Instead, they faced an organism, dozens of Shermans moving, reacting, and calling fire with stunning speed. A problem did appear. Sherman radios could not talk to infantry sets, which operated on different frequencies. In the bocage, infantry saw German Panzerfaust teams creeping close, but had no way to warn the tanks. The solution was brutally simple. Crews bolted field telephones to the rear of their tanks, wired straight into the intercom. Soldiers could pick up the handset and speak directly to the commander. Within weeks, tank infantry coordination reached levels the Germans could not match. By late July, during Operation Cobra, the scale of American coordination stunned German defenders. Over 200 Shermans advanced under the command of Major General Edward Brooks. Reports flowed instantly across the net. Enemy armor sightings, artillery targets, requests for support. German Panzer Lehr Division, one of Germany's elite armored units, faced Shermans that seemed omniscient. A Panther revealed its position, and within minutes artillery rained down, directed by tanks that never even saw it. At Aracourt in September 1944, the contrast reached its peak. German Panther brigades with heavier armor and better guns attacked American positions. On paper, the Germans had every advantage. In practice, Shermans with radios dominated. Every tank reported. Every tank adjusted. Artillery arrived in minutes, not hours. In 3 weeks, 4th Armored Division destroyed 281 German armored vehicles while losing just 41 Shermans. A 7-to-1 kill ratio, achieved not with thicker armor, but with clearer voices over the airwaves. By 1945, the system reached full maturity. When American forces captured the Ludendorff Bridge at Remagen, news spread across radio networks within minutes. Divisions miles away shifted immediately to exploit the breakthrough. German counterattacks, relying on telephone lines already shredded by Allied aircraft, arrived piecemeal and were crushed. For Sherman crews, the radios meant more than coordination. They meant confidence. Even isolated, a crew knew it was never truly alone. Voices filled their headphones, warnings, updates, encouragement. For German tankers, combat was isolation. With radios scarce and fragile, most fought as individuals. Memoirs describe the loneliness of battle, the silence inside steel hulls, the terror of not knowing what was happening beyond the next ridge. After the war, captured German equipment confirmed what combat had shown. American radios were judged 5 years ahead. German Fuji 5 sets lacked frequency stability, power, and clarity. Soviet analysts reached the same conclusion and chose to copy American FM technology for their post-war tanks. The production numbers told the story of American industry. Motorola built more than 50,000 tank radio sets during the war, enough to equip every one of the 49,000 Shermans produced. Germany built fewer than 6,000 full transceiver sets for more than 12,000 medium and heavy tanks. Most of their armor rolled into battle half-mute, able to listen but not speak. The lesson was stark. Germany built technically superior tanks, Tigers and Panthers with thick armor and high-velocity guns. America built tanks that were good enough, but America connected them. The result was an armored army that fought as one, while German tanks fought as individuals. In modern terms, the Americans had built a network. Historians often point to armor thickness or gun caliber as deciding factors. But Kasserine, Italy, Normandy, Aracourt, and Remagen tell a different story. Victory belonged not to the tank with the best gun, but to the force with the best communication. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel is rumored to have said at Germany's surrender, "We knew how to build better tanks, but you knew how to make them work together." Whether he said it or not, the truth is clear. The SCR 508 radio, weighing just 180 pounds, turned every Sherman into more than a fighting vehicle. It turned each one into a node in history's first battlefield network. That invisible web of voices proved more decisive than any shell or armor plate. In the end, electromagnetic waves carried the Allies farther than steel or firepower alone. German troops discovered this the hard way. Again and again, they faced Shermans they dismissed as inferior, only to watch them move and strike with coordination that seemed supernatural. They never realized the secret until it was too late. The world's most advanced radios had turned American armor into something greater than the sum of its parts. Connection, not thickness of steel, proved to be the true weapon of victory.